Welcome to Whirlpool Presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Timeout powered by Dell. We're looking ahead to the game between the Delhi Capitals and the Rajasthan Royals. These two teams have already seen each other this season. A game at Sharjah, which the Capitals won rather convincingly at a time when the Rajasthan Royals were struggling to put a string of wins together after they started this season so positively at Sharjah. Things might have changed on Sunday, though, when contrasting fortunes for both teams. The Capitals going down to the Mumbai Indians after a series of wins, and the Rajasthan Royals breaking a series of losses by beating the Sunrisers Hyderabad. So, should make for a fascinating pre-match show. That's where they are on the table. It effectively is just two games that separates the points. And Delhi Capitals second place with 10, and Rajasthan second from bottom with 6, with CSK having just gone past them on net run rate after last night's win. Things can change very quickly at this stage of the IPL. You don't want to be falling behind. So let's discuss this pre-match show with Deep Das Gupta and Ian Bishop. News from Dubai, gentlemen, is that Shreyas Iyer has won the toss, and I wonder, Deep, as we enter this middle period of the IPL with the pitches getting slow, whether these tosses can be so significant. Unsurprisingly, he chooses to bat.
Yeah, that's not a surprise. I mean, going by the record as well, this season, teams batting first have won more often than not. And also, I believe at the toss, Steve Smith also mentioned that this looks like a dryish pitch. So obviously, that's a good toss to win then.
Steve Smith said he'd bat first as well, Vish, and that's the other thing now. Suddenly, everyone's mindsets changed from the first week of the IPL where chasing seemed to be the way to go. How important are these tosses, though? You're looking at the results and seeing more teams winning first batting. Are they getting more important, or can you somewhere just dilute the importance of the toss?
Well, I believe that once you're seeing the numbers in favor of a certain trend, then there is some significance that you place on winning the toss. It doesn't guarantee you success in the outcome, but I think you'd be foolish. And I think Delhi Capitals as well, they've won most, if not all, of their games batting first, I think, apart from the super over event that they had against Kings 11 Punjab. So you add that to the possibility of the pitches slowing down, I think you go one up on the opposition.
All right. Well, let's focus on the teams that we're getting. Rajasthan are unchanged. That's no surprise with that thrilling win against the Sunrisers Hyderabad on Sunday. But Delhi make one change. We were tempted to say if they try and bring back Shimron Hetmyer, who had such a big impact on that game against Rajasthan Royals when he turned the momentum, coming in at 6 and hitting that 45. But they've made just the one change, and it's a seam bowling option change. Out goes Harshal Patel, and in comes Tushar Deshpande, the Mumbai seamer, who makes his debut for the Capitals. Deep, seen enough of him in domestic cricket. Thoughts on that change?
I think that's a good change. I mean, Tushar is a good fast bowler, and he's quick. He's got that pace with him. He bowls a good short ball. Harshal's done all right. I mean, the limited opportunities that Harshal had got, I mean, he did all right. But now I'm just looking at the strategy. Last time when RR played, they kind of bombarded the opposition with bowling fast and short. I know whether Delhi Capitals want to adapt that strategy as well, and maybe that's the reason they've got someone with little more pace than Harshal, a different kind of a fast bowler, Tushar, who's quick in the air, bowls that short ball more often as compared to Harshal, who depends a lot on pace variations.
All right, since we're on the subject, Vish, when you know pitches are slowing down, as bowlers of express pace, how do you become effective? How do you alter your own game plan to be effective?
Well, a lot of it depends on your strength. And just on Tushar Deshpande, I can't remember which tour it was that the West Indies were here. We've been here so many times. I've forgotten. It's like a blur now. I remember watching some Ranji Trophy or Vijay Hazare cricket on television and seeing Tushar bowl and tweeting about how much I liked about him bowling on what then was a green surface. So it will come down to your skill set. Are you good at bowling cutters? Are you good at changing up your pace? Or are you going to be a guy who can run in and bang the ball in the middle of the pitch and cause some discomfort from maybe a two-pace surface or a dry surface? So really, it's not a one-size-fits-all again, because it depends on the skill set.
I guess if you look at that Delhi Capitals team, though, the larger talking point remains at the top half rather than the bottom. Tushar Deshpande, let's see how he goes. Good luck to him on his IPL debut. But from the evidence of the last game against the Mumbai Indians, Deep, you first, and I'll come to Bish too on this, there does seem to be a bit of an issue with Shikhar Dhawan and Ajinkya Rahane back-to-back pushing Shreyas Iyer down and the absence of Hetmeyer as well. So let's start with the top order now because they're batting first. Can you do something about that, Dhawan and Rahane?
Uh, Listen, all you can do is have a chat with them, and if they are together, you would expect one of them to go a little harder. More than that, I think it's the rotation of strike. One thing that stood out for me, at least in their short partnership that they had in the last game, was they're getting those boundaries, but they weren't really rotating the strike enough. And you could see that change as soon as Shreyas came in. I think it was Ajinkya who got out and Shreyas came in. You could see that change straight away. So one of the things I would have a chat with both of them is, you play naturally or normally your game, but just make sure you rotate the strike. And as a DC supporter or as part of the team, you would want Prithvi to hang around for as long as possible.
Bish, is that now the absolute fundamental requirement in modern day 2020 cricket? Yesterday, you observed the Watson Raidu partnership dot balls again. Regardless of conditions now, is it now a no-brainer that you cannot occupy dot balls, no matter how tough it may be for batting? Is that what you would expect out of batsmen now?
Unless you're a West Indies T20 2016 World Cup winning team where the dot balls don't matter because guys are hitting a six every third or fourth ball.
Yeah.
But no, I think I have always even said about the West Indies team, and I know a few coaches are taking it on board as well. If you can win games smashing boundaries, imagine if you were to be able to add rotation of strike, whether that be by taking singles, twos, or even more fours and sixes, how much you top up on your game. So I just want to come to that Rahane thing. The dot balls are absolutely important. Shreyas Iyer, for me, has to be the number 3 guy in my book, not Delhi's book, from what I see about Shreyas. And why not have Alex Carey floating? Let's say they get off to a decent start. Why can't Carey come ahead of Rahane instead of having absolutely to send Rahane in there?
Yeah, that's a point. We discussed this even on the pre-show, on the preview to this game, Deep, didn't we? That let's put Rahane's role as, let's discuss the possibility that if Dhawan falls very early, then Rahane comes in. But in the absence of that, then you just stick to the batting order, and Rahane, if he needs to be pushed down, so be it.
That also makes sense when you're playing at Sharjah and you're expecting it to be a high-scoring game. Then you say, you know what, let's try and push hard. And in case we lose a couple of wickets, Ajinkya is always there as an insurance policy. So you can always look at what Bish mentioned and what you just mentioned, that let's try and get Shreyas at 3, Alex Carey at 3, 4, wherever. And just in case if there is an early wicket or a couple of wickets, then Ajinkya can come in and do what he does. So I think that's not a bad idea at all.
Shreyas Iyer, you said Bish, you want him at 3. From what you observed in the tournament, is that number 3 one of the most important positions now? We say openers are always important, but it seems like when you push Shreyas Iyer from 3 to 4, when you push Sanju Samson from 3 to 4, there just seems to be a disruption of sorts to their innings, and the impact on the overall innings seems to be lesser.
Yeah, Shreyas, look, there are different ways to skin the cat, so to speak, but Shreyas is a very good player. Look, he's an exceptional player. He has a good feel for the game. He's in form as well. He's scoring runs. So if you can get Shreyas set first, and then, as he did in Sharjah, start being more aggressive as he goes along in his innings, it's to the betterment of the team. It's sort of like the Virat Kohli situation. If you get Virat in as early as possible, whether that's at 3 or opening, then Virat can set himself and then tee off, all things being equal in the back end, and maximize the scoring. So I think we have to understand, how do we optimize deep? How do we optimize our team score and batting? And to me, Shreyas at 3 is what I would want.
Is anyone tempted to, now that we're in the mood for innovative decisions at the top of the orders, anyone tempted to throw someone else up just to break it off? You have Dhawan, Rahane, Shreyas Iyer, they all may take a little time. Alex Carey, why not?
Alex Carey to open the batting, because I think in the 20, the thing that drew him back into the spotlight a few years ago was him opening the batting in the Big Bash League and really doing well and casting himself back in the spotlight. It won't happen, but that's what I think.
Yeah, we're going to be with till the opening batsmen walk out. God knows who they'll be. So let's see how that goes. And that takes us nicely into our next conversation, where Mark Nicholas confirmed of Steve Smith at the toss that Ben Stokes will continue to bat. we'll discuss that because as far as the team goes, it's unchanged. The Rajasthan Royals 11 from the team that beat the Sunrisers Hyderabad a few days back. So Jaydev Unadkat retains his place. Riyan Parag and Rahul Tewatia with a match-winning partnership. They're there. And so too is Robin Uthappa, who will probably bat, you'd think, as where we've slated him at number 5. Now, if he has confirmed that Ben Stokes will open, that is a fascinating discussion. I'd like to know why, when you've got those players that follow, and whether this is a good move. What's the franchise thinking? Let me start with you, Bish. Ben Stokes is going to open with Jos Buttler. Why are they doing this?
I have no idea, to be quite honest with you. Stokes, when he played for, was it RPS in 2017?
Yeah.
I think he averaged about... Yeah, he averaged about 30 odd, but he was batting at 4 and a little bit down the order, right? So I hope I'm not wrong in saying that. The following seasons weren't that great. So I have to see how that plays out. The only other option that I was thinking of, and I don't know if you guys thought about it any more than you definitely have, is getting Robin back on top and perhaps getting Stokes back to that maybe middle order position. It's not going to happen, but that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, I mean, we always thought that when Ben Stokes comes into this Rajasthan side, he would in some ways solve this conundrum of having too many top order batsmen. And you put Ben Stokes at the top and you continue to keep Robin Uthappa and Sanju Samson batting 4, 5 or whatever. Deep, make sense of it?
I can't, to be honest, because the only thing I can think of is getting him some quality game time because he's been away from the game. Just go out there, get a feel of, everything around. But to be honest, I mean, I would actually look at, if not Robin Uthappa, then Sanju Samson and Butler to open, Smith at 3, Ben Stokes at 4. If not, getting Robin to open, then Sanju at 3, and then you have floaters and you see how the situation is. But Ben Stokes to open, I can't get my head around it, to be honest.
What is it? RK just had me thinking there. Is it possible that they're thinking, okay, left-right combination at the top is one possibility with Butler? And if Stokes hadn't done so well in the middle over the last couple of seasons, maybe that chance to go in at the top and hit the ball over or through the infield. That's all I can think about right now. The left-right wasn't a bad idea last night. Come on, let's not forget that.
No, fair enough. But my answer to that would be, at times, if you have that luxury, please go ahead and do it. But don't force yourself to do it, is what I think. I think Ben Stokes add more value to finishing off games, let's say 10 over onwards. And Tewatia has done a great job, but he's not going to do it every day, right? If you have someone like Ben Stokes, whose bread and butter is finishing off games, that's what he does as a batsman. I mean, you have a specialist there. Why not then? That is my question. But yeah.
All right,
I'd love to hear somebody ask that. I'd love to hear somebody ask about what the rationale behind the Stokes thing at some point.
Yeah, well, it's got to come out, you'd think, because Ben Stokes, one of the great middle order white ball players in the world, or middle order players in the world, period. And he wants to open the batting in T20 cricket. Not something we've seen often. The other player I'd like to discuss, Bish, and the Sanju Samson, as a result of this. Samson's best numbers seem to be a 3, and he's also got pretty good numbers opening the batting. He started this season so well, he's now pushed to 4. Now, I know, Bish, we hear this very often from T20 captains and coaches. Everyone has to be flexible with their batting order. It can't be one or so. But again, like the Shreyas Iyer conversation, there seems to be, in fact, a greater disruption to Samson's game when he's not coming in the top 3.
And again, this discussion is about optimizing your batting order. And look, I would say that in this IPL so far, this has been my greatest focus in observing how teams structure their batting order, because every one of the batsmen who know themselves want to bat at the top of the order, but it means sacrificing someone else. So I don't know. I mean, Steve Smith, for instance, where does he play? I've been disappointed in the way Smith has been getting out cheaply since leaving Sharjah, because I think he's one guy that can bat a lot of overs for you. His test record tells you that. So he has to optimize his game as well. But I'm a big Sanju Samson fan. I would love to see Sanju Samson opening, because I think here's a young guy who's got that X factor. And I think if you give him that chance, he will win games for you, as he has shown.
Yeah, when we saw Smith walk out, game. Yes,
Quickly.
please.
Yeah. See, my only thing with Sanju is he's a different bowler against spin when he comes and has to bat spin first up, right? So when he comes in and bats in the first six, which more often than not happens, even if he's batting at three, then he gets the feel of the fast bowlers.
Okay.
He likes getting bat on ball. And then he goes and bats spin, then he's a different batsman. But when he comes at four and straight away has to start playing against a spinner, I don't think he likes that scenario.
Yeah, I mean, when we saw Steve Smith walk out first few games for the Royals opening batting, we went like, okay, that's not a bad move because Smith, you never know if it's not a bad idea. And the assumption was maybe you're going to keep Smith there when Stokes comes in the middle, and you look at Smith and Stokes strike rate, etc., and T20, and you say let's keep them apart. Now you've put Butler, Smith, and Stokes one after the other. And from the evidence of the last game, if you lose those 3 wickets, which happened in the last game quickly, they managed to win it last time, but fair to say it's going to take a lot to recover from that all the time. Is that a bit of a risk, putting all your
That
big
is.
one after the other?
That is, if you look at the top two teams right now, MI and DC, one of the reasons that they're right at the top is not just because of their top three, also because they have a good, solid middle and lower middle order, right? That's the area where a lot of other teams have struggled. Their top three has done all right. Look at Kings 11 for an example. They've done phenomenally well with their top two, at least, if not top three. But they don't have players in the middle and lower middle order to finish off games. And that's where I think, yes, you need to have very good top three because they are the players who are going to play bulk of those deliveries in an innings. But then you cannot overlook the middle order either. And that's where I think maybe RR might need to look at that.
Is anyone planning on Josh Butler going down in the middle then? If everybody else wants to open at the top.
No.
No. Not happening. Not even entertaining that chat. Okay, so we leave this here for now because it doesn't matter who opens the batting. Everyone seems to have a crack in the first 3 or 4 overs. That's just how the Rajasthan Royals have gone. They've just lost wickets very quickly. And the last player we'll talk about, what Vish mentioned, Deep, is Robin Uthappa, who's now brought back into this team. Of course, made the transfer and was bought in the auction of the Knight Riders from the Royals. And here's an experienced player, again, enjoys batting at the top of the order. Yes, he's played a middle order role, but again, in the little innings that we've seen of Robin Uthappa, doesn't seem to quite be the answer to the middle order. There's another option. You could have thrown Uthappa up to optimize his usage.
Listen, I remember, this is my personal experience, speaking to Robin. He wants to open, and he wants to open with a vengeance, if I may say so, right? Because he came to Pune as a middle order batsman. First couple of games, he batted at number 5 and 6. But then he was like, no, I want to open. So he really, really wants to open. He does not fancy himself as a middle order batsman. So, I mean, he's there at number 4 or 5, wherever he's slated to come now. But I think if you want to maximize, and again, I will re-emphasize what Bish mentioned, I think that's such an important aspect. It's not just about maximizing individuals, but maximizing the 11 that are playing on that day. So from that perspective, I don't know whether you're maximizing at least what you can get out of Robin at number 4 or 5.
All right. Closing this discussion now, just give me, if you were in that dugout in Andrew McDonald's position or Steve Smith's position, what's your 1, 2, 3, 4? Deep, what's your 1, 2, 3, 4? Ideal.
I'd go with Butler and Sanju to open.
Okay.
And then 3 Steve Smith, 4 Ben Stokes, or Robin to open, 3 Sanju, 4, 5 float, based on the situation. Ben Stokes, if 10 overs are gone, 10, 11, get Ben Stokes in.
Bish?
I wouldn't have bought this team in the auction. That's the first thing I'd say there. I'd have bought different players because everybody, Deep has informed me there that everybody wants to bat in the top 4. Stokes, Smith, Sanju, Robin, Butler. Everybody wants to bat, right? So for the sake of the form that we're seeing, I would have gone just on form. Robin looks uncomfortable batting down the other side. Maybe they'll go on Robin, Butler, Sanju Samson, Steve Smith, and then Ben Stokes down in the hole. But those are wishes and horses.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Now, whoever opens, doesn't matter. Rahul Tewati will finish the job at the end. That's just the Rajasthan Royals story, perhaps. So let's maybe spend a little time on that too. Rahul Tewati is turning out to now be a significant story of this year's IPL, Deep. You look at that Punjab game, you thought, is this a one-off? And we have in the history of the IPL seen one-off, one-match wonders. You're now looking at Tewati. There seems to be a bit of swag about him. He's willing to get into the face of the opposition. He's willing to rile David Warner up, So I don't know, is there something that's going on here? Are we seeing the making of a character that
Yeah.
actually has a lot more to offer than just a one-match cameo?
You know what? I like what I see. I honestly like what I see, not just with bat. Obviously, he's won 2 games with the bat. Even if you look at him bowling, I remember that Sharjah game where he bowled. It was very good. I mean, he's smart. He's a smart cricketer. And that's where I think, even Indian team need to explore that option, because coming at 5, 6, 7, leaving Hardik aside, you don't have a boundary hitter for India in T20 and one-day cricket, right? I'm just saying explore. I'm not saying he goes right in it. You have all these India A series and all that. Explore that option, because here there is a guy. Not only he can finish off games, he's a boundary hitter. Plus, in the Indian one-day setup, white ball setup, you don't have anyone who bowls in the top 6. So you have somebody who can give you overs and can also hit boundaries and finish off games. Should explore that option.
That's a big one. Bish, you like the sound of that prospect, Rahul Tewatia, for cricket beyond the IPL?
Oh, I like the principle that Deep spoke about there. I'm going to agree with, because it's a discussion that we've had, RK. When I was asked to pick a fantasy team, I couldn't find a domestic Indian player comfortable enough, apart from Hardik Pandya, at that 5-6 position. So it's something India are looking for. So when you've got guys like Rian Parag, who I think is an exceptionally gifted young player like so many of us, and Tewatia surprised me. I looked at the highlights. I was at the ground when that game was going live, so I couldn't see it. But I looked at some of the shots he played in that last game. Phenomenal, both sides of the ground, against leg spin, where I thought he was limited, to be honest. So if there is a deliberate, as Deep said, deliberate effort by the Indian selectors or administrators to identify 5, 6, 7, groom them, find out who can make it, why not? That's how it has to be.
Yeah, I like that you brought that point up, because I was coming to that next. Tewatia, in that game against Punjab, when he was going through that first half of the innings where he struggled, couldn't get bat on ball to the wrong one that Murugan Ashwin and Ravi Bishnoi were bowling. Here he is, reverse sweeping Rashid Khan for 4, hitting him over the covers at times. And Tom Moody made this interesting point, Bish. Confidence is such a wonderful thing, right? Suddenly you're bowling better, you're bowling 4 overs more often than not. There's a belief in you that you could actually win games. Are you seeing that in someone like Tewatia? Just a confident player who's having an impact, that's growing game by game.
Prior to IPL 2020, if you'd mentioned Rahul Tewatia to me, I'd have said, yeah, I heard that name before. Now, the man is part of cricketing folklore for what he's done. So the confidence is obviously there, but I think he's exploring areas and developing areas in his game that not many people, even in his own team, really understood how he could operate. So it's a great thing. I hope he can kick on, because it's another great story in Indian and IPL cricket.
Yeah, and I guess the other thing is, I was reading a lot on Tewatia, and we all have been of late, Deep. The thing is, he's always been around, right? We've seen him in other franchises. Delhi have been interested in him, so he's up against his former side. Gautam Gambhir rates him very highly. And you don't often see these guys that go from one franchise to the other actually make a significant mark. The Indians, the overseas guys might find their feet somewhere. But, it says something about an Indian player who a lot of franchises must have thought, there's something about him, but he never broke through, never had that breakthrough seasons. What does it tell you now that there is a franchise that's found him for the right fit, or has Tewatia just come of age in this season?
I think come of age to a certain extent. Obviously, confidence. I mean, I can speak from personal experience. I mean, if you're confident, especially in this game, I mean, it just opens up doors and windows for you. So, and I think that's what's happening with Tewatia right now. I think after winning that game against Kings 11, I think he's more confident about his own abilities, his game. And that's what it is. And also it helps. I mean, at times, franchises like Kings 11, Rajasthan Royals, it kind of helps when you're in that kind of stage in your career. These franchises are great platforms. So I think it is also a good fit. Rajasthan Royals, Tewatia, that's a good fit. For example, if I say Maxwell and Kings 11, I don't know. When I look at Maxwell, I'd say RCB. Maybe MI, because he's an entertainer and they like that. I mean, so for example, Gale, Bish knows Gale better than anyone else out here. he likes that big stage. He likes that show, entertainer, RCB, MI. Those are the franchises. I mean, they're well suited for each other, and that's why like T20 and Rajasthan Royals are better suited that way.
We've seen that, haven't we, Bish? That Rajasthan tend to throw up these they invest a lot in young Indian names as against big money overseas signings. I mean, you say that and you've got Stokes, Smith, Archer and Butler in that team. But the point being that over the course of the history of the IPL, Rajasthan have produced or at least shown a lot of faith in Indian domestic players.
And I like that. It's the Indian Premier League. And I like the fact that you're developing young Indian players, because while it's I suppose, free market enterprise and you want to win because the owners have bought these teams, you also want to keep part of your eye on development. So I applaud Rajasthan for what they're doing in bringing through these young players as one or two other franchises. Let me just say this, because I know you're going to cut me off in a minute. Watch out for if these overseas players click, this Rajasthan team with Tewatia performing, keep an eye on them.
Yep, I'd never cut you off, Bish. Never. Tewatia, we've had a fascinating discussion on Rahul Tewatia. His confidence seems to make everyone believe that there's no limit for Tewatia. We've discussed the potential of Rahul Tewatia in the Indian team. Who knows? Maybe he'll open the batting, since they're not short of openers, are they? The Rajasthan might say I'm confident enough. And just as we speak, the first wicket's fallen on the very first ball. Prithvi Shaw has been dismissed by Jufra Archer, which now puts the two of you on the spot. Now you've lost Prithvi Shaw. Who are you sending in of the second ball? As good as an opening bat. Is Rahane going to come in and partner Dhawan? Or are you going to be bringing in Shreyas Iyer, your quintessential number 3? Bish, take it first. I won't cut you off.
I'm going to guess they're going to send in Rahane because they've lost one early.
Deep?
Yeah. First ball, Rahane,
Yeah, see, this is what Rajasthan come in prepared for. They can lose 4 wickets in 4 balls and they'll still have opening batsmen ready to walk. Right, brilliant. Let's see how this goes, right? It's a brilliant start to a team that is looking to turn things around in the Rajasthan Royals. Delhi, will they slide to 2 losses out of 2 after looking like such a good team for a large part of the first half of the tournament? It should make for a great halftime chat with Deepdas Gupta and Ian Bishop. So do join us then on Whirlpool Presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Timeout, powered by Dell.